and the effect on the Carmen is one of the consistent and sustainable pressure on employees. This is the life of a Carmen in the PSR era. A wise colleague of mine said to me, the railroads are burning the candle at both ends. They're burning their customers on one and burning out their employees on the other.
Under its current leadership, Amtrak is engaged in a systematic campaign of union busting, outsourcing good, skilled jobs of dedicated career employees. Sadly, when it comes to Amtrak, all too often we get mired in spreadsheets and data. Riverside was never about call volumes. It was about union busting, period. The onboard service personnel are skilled professionals.
And frustration in Washington, D.C. These members of Congress are working to break the mold by working together, crossing the aisle to stand up for working people.
How seriously do you think that railroads take fatigue as a safety issue, and how do you think the FRA's new fatigue rule would change things?
The railroads are not, I don't believe, is taking fatigue at all serious. They clearly stated that these are not a safety concern. This is not part of their safety program. The only thing they get their attention is if it affects their profit. If you hit them in their pocketbook, that's what they take serious.
Today, our members are under attack from Amtrak. In the next spending bill, what did Amtrak do? They refused to put back Amtrak employees in those stations.
Yes. Some attention has been paid to railroad workers on fatigue issues in the industry, but not enough.
Leader McConnell must stop playing games with Amtrak's workers' lives.
I'm here on behalf of Amtrak workers to urge Congress and President Trump to act now to preserve our nation's railroad. Absence action from Congress October 1st will mark the beginning of severe workforce and service reductions nationwide. These are the same frontline transportation workers that have been coming in to work day after day during the pandemic, at great risk to themselves and their families. While many Americans have had the luxury of working from home, these Amtrak workers have been putting their lives on the line to keep our fragile economy moving.
That's a potential real contrast between people trying to get things done and the kind of gamesmanship that you're seeing in Congress, including the number of Republicans that have spent the last week fighting with Big Bird as opposed to doing anything for anyone out in the actual real world.
I'm not sure what this gentleman's title is. His name is Don Grissom. And the other man next to him is named Matt. I'm not sure his last name is.
My name is Matt Hollis, and I'm a second-generation, 18-year railroader. From my position at TCU, I've had a front-row seat to the complete and utter degradation of the nation's Class I railroads over the past few years. I've watched as private equity firms have acquired controlling stakes in railroads only to use their power to deploy business models that extract as much wealth as possible. And all of this to the detriment of the railroad workers, their customers, and ultimately the public's interest. Anyone can tell you that PSR is neither precise, well-scheduled, and it hardly resembles real railroading.
The private sector on its own isn't going to step up. It takes government. It takes an active federal government that cares about its people.
What we're saying here, nobody behind me did anything wrong. Not one of these workers did anything wrong. Not any of these union members did anything wrong. They showed up. We're going to pass this HEROES Act, And then the next rally is going to be down there, and we're going to jam it down the Senate's throat if we have to. Thank you.
So any attempt by Amtrak to cut lines, cut down trips, not only does it impact them in a negative way, these good people standing behind me.
I remember when Frank Lorenzo ran Eastern Airlines. We finally drove him out of the business because of what he was doing. But we're seeing the same thing here, started by a guy who's now deceased.
The work you all do is incredibly important for the working men and women of our nation's railroads. You are all the backbone of our transportation workforce. And your efforts to keep our traveling public safe do not go unnoticed.
So in closing, I would just say I've heard the line of questions from the board to different witnesses that talk about suggestions for what can be done in the next 30, 60, or 90 days. But I can tell you something that the railroads can do today. They can get off their high horse, give our members a contract that they deserve, and they can treat their employees with the dignity that these people deserve doing their jobs every single day. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering any questions.